Hi friends, this is Tammy. We're going to do a really pretty project today, and before we begin, I have this silicone mold, and I did one line of a little beaded rope, and I'm doing the second one that matches, and all you do is just fill it up with hot glue and let it set up and dry. So I'm getting that done and out of the way first so it can set up and dry while I begin my wood project. So you just fill up all the areas and then just set that aside. So this arched wood piece I got at Dollar General. We don't have a Dollar General around here, and I'd never been to one, but my husband and I went to South Dakota last week, and there was a Dollar General. I was really excited about it, so I went in and bought a few things, and I have a fun project planned for this. So it had a really cute saying on it, but that's not what I wanted it for. So anyway, I sanded part of it off and made it smooth, and now I'm just painting over the top with antique white acrylic paint by Folk Art. And prior to the video, I painted the back. So I'll just give that a quick dry. And then I've got those little planks. I think they come in a 6-pack that I got from the Dollar Tree. And so I will use one of those and paint it the same color and give that a dry as well. And I really like this color. It's just kind of an off-white. Trying to get all the edges too. And this will be the base that will make it stand up nice and sturdy. So I'll quickly give this a dry, then I'll set it aside and I'll work on my hot glue rope. So this first one came out quite nice because it had been sitting there a lot longer, but this one was still a little tiny warm and soft, so I kind of broke it, but it doesn't matter. You just put it right back together. So I'm going to glue that all around the center of that edge. So you just put a line of hot glue and you glue the hot glue on there. That works out really well. And links of items that I purchased on Amazon will be below the video. And so be sure and check out those links too. So now this was a little more ready to pull out of the mold. So you just kind of begin where one ends. Put them right next to each other, and it looks like it's all one piece. Works out really well. So I had to cut off one little part of that. Glue that last little bit on, and then I'm going to paint it in the same color as I painted the plaque. Just gives it a little more character, another dimension. So I'm going to paint it all really well and get in between the little bumps on both sides. And then I will dry that with my heat tool too. And since it's hot glue, you can't get your heat gun too close or you'll melt the glue. So now that that's all painted and dried, I'm going to put a layer of Mod Podge on the front only. Just make sure I get everything covered, clear to the edges and corners. And then I'm going to dry this as well. This is the technique I prefer, drying my Mod Podge and then ironing my prints on there. So that's what I'm going to do here. Now the print I'm using comes in a listing of, I can't remember how many I have in there. I think 24 or 26, and there's all kinds of vintage country crocks and utensils and wheat and lavender and linen napkins and all kinds of like little jars and different things, and they're so cute, so vintage, just really, really nice. So you'll see the one I'm going to use, and they in my listing are all 8 by 10, 8 inches by 10 inches. But for this project, I shrunk it down a little bit before I printed it off. I'm out at 7 inches by 7 inches because my little base is 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. So it just hangs off just slightly, the edges. So I'm getting that all laid down nicely, and then I'm putting parchment paper over the top. And I'm using my tiny little travel iron and ironing the whole thing, and the heat reactivates that Mod Podge. So just iron all over and get all the edges really well. Just check the edges, and I wanted to make sure they were down there really well. So now I'm just taking my little gator sander and going around all those edges and getting that little bit of overhang paper off. And it just makes a nice smooth edge. And I think it looks so pretty already. So now I'm just making sure where I want to put this, and I need to line it up in the center. So I want to scruff up the edges of this too to kind of make it match. So I'm going to put a couple dots of E6000 on the bottom for a sturdy permanent hold, and then the rest I'll hot glue it on for an instant quick hold. Just line it up in the center of that plank, and it gives it a nice wide base so it won't tip over easy at all. So now I'm using my Tim Holtz Distress Oxide ink in the color Vintage Photo. I'm just using my little dauber, and I'm going over the top of those bubbles on that rope, the hot glue rope, and then all along the edges of the plaque too, and then also on the base as well. Just distressing it a little bit, giving it a little bit of a worn look. I like a little bit of the grunge. And you could leave it just like this as you see it, but I'm going to put a little twine bow and a little word tag on it. So I made all these tags on my computer and printed them off on craft cardstock. And there's a whole bunch of different sayings like live, love, cook. I'm using happiness is homemade. There's our gathering place, a little leaven from the oven, a whole bunch of sayings like that. And I will have those in my Etsy shop too. So the link to that will be below as well. So I'm just scrunching it up, and I use my distress ink all along the edges. I'm using my scissors to really rough up the edges. I just wanted it old and worn looking. Punching it a hole, but I didn't actually need to do that because I end up putting it just below my twine bow, so that doesn't even show anyway. But I wrapped it around all my fingers. I didn't count, but probably 5 or 6 times. And then cut it, and then the one longer end I just kept wrapping around the center a few times. So I cut the tails, try and decide where I want to put it. Then I'll glue the center on. Decided to do it off center towards the left. So I'll hold that for a second, then I'll just kind of fluff out the little loops. Have it lay where I want it, and then I'm trying to decide where I want my little tag. Decided to grab a little round wood button. Just trying to decide which one to use. I end up kind of tucking it under the loops. Just off center a little bit. And it says happiness is homemade. So I'll glue it there, and then the last thing I do is glue the little button in the center of my bow. And it's pretty neutral colors. It would go in most any decor really. And I think it's so super cute. I think it's going to look cute in my kitchen. And I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And again, please check out all the links below because I'll have links to my Etsy shop and various things that I used. And thank you so much for watching, and you have a whimsical day.